Okay, good morning from pleasant Nice. As you can see, I'm in t-shirts and will possibly be looking around for a place to buy a pair of shorts. It is warm, 22, 23 degrees here. And I thought, sitting in my balcony outside my room, I thought it's a good idea to film episode 2 of my Alps preparation, right? In which I'm going to talk primarily about hotels and how you go about booking them and what makes sense and what does not. Now, hotels are a significant part of any Europe trip. The expense on hotels is a significant part, and you have a huge range of hotel types that you can stay at, as well as price brackets that you can be at. Now, for me, the main decision is whether your tourism is in the tour that you're planning, which is seeing the sights around when you're riding, or it is at the destination city. That's a decision that needs to be made up front for you and has a significant bearing on the hotel that you're going to stay in, the location of the hotel that you're going to stay in, etc., etc. For me, it was primarily about the motorcycling and looking at the sights in the course of my journey, and not necessarily the cities that I was or towns that I was going to be at. There were a few exceptions, but primarily it was about touring and the touring life and capturing the tourism in the course of the tour, right? Now, let me explain why that is important. If it is about the city, like for instance Krakow, if you wanted to explore Krakow, Poland, there are a couple of things that you need to bear in mind. One, you get into your destination by about 3 o'clock in the evening every day. 3 o'clock to next morning 9 o'clock when you're pushing off is not enough time for you to really explore the city. So bear that in mind, that you'll have to plan for maybe an additional day at each city that you are going to be at. That's number one in terms of how it impacts your itinerary. The second is the cost of the hotel itself. The hotels in city centers are far more expensive than those a little outside. And if you're not going to be planning to tour the city and look at the sights in the city, then there's no purpose, in my humble opinion, for you to spend that extra euros on staying in the center of the city. So that's two elements in terms of whether your tourism is going to be on the road or your tourism is going to be in the city. Now, you can find a blend of both, but that involves you walking a bit. So what I did in most cases, but two in my tour, where I booked my hotel about, I'd say, 2 kilometers outside, 1 to 2 kilometers outside city center. Now, most cities in Europe are very walking friendly, and they're also fairly small, so in that sense explorable on foot. If you have the energy after your ride, I did in a few cases, I did not in a few cases, but if you do have the energy, it's a great 1.5 to 2 kilometer walk to the center of the city. About you're walking about 1 kilometer or so in the course of exploring that town or city, and then you're walking back to your hotel because you don't want to be riding in the center of the city. So walking is great, and it's good exercise, and it also relaxes the muscles that have been cramped in the course of the ride. So that's my recommendation. So first point was about whether tourism is on the road or in the city. Second point is where in the city, if you are choosing to stay near the city. And the third point is if you're going to be traveling solo and you don't have a riding mate or your partner with you, it's a very, very good idea for you to look for hotels or guest houses that have single occupancy rooms. Now, these rooms are smaller. They are a single bed and possibly half the size of a typical hotel room that you're in, but it's more than enough for you to spread out your gear, your computer, charging and all of that stuff. And It's more than enough. And the best thing is that you get it at about 20 to 30% lower than a double occupancy room. So that's another big tip. The fourth tip is breakfast. Now, breakfast if you pre-book or prepay for breakfast in most of these, like say booking.com or Agoda or hotels.com, whichever, it is, roughly I'd say between 10 and 15 euros for breakfast. Now that's a significant part of a hotel room budget, and I'll come to that in a little bit. But what you need to do is make a decision on how important breakfast is going to be, with a hot breakfast with, let's say, eggs, and if you have meat, and bread and coffee and juices and cheeses and all of that stuff, how important it is for you, and you can make a call. In my case, I booked breakfast, I paid for breakfast only in places where I knew that there was nothing else around. That was number one. And hello, Pigeon. And number two was Pigeon lost my train of thought. And number two was on the highways. Every highway or every route that you're going to go to, there are multiple places that you can stop at for a nice strong coffee, croissant, or a panini sandwich or anything like that. There are multiple options, and it's going to cost you 4 or 5 euros at most. So I chose to do that, except for two places where I knew that I wanted breakfast and I'm not going to have lunch that day. So those are the 4 or 5 things that I believe you need to take into consideration while booking a hotel. I hope this video has been useful to you, and if it has, do like, share and subscribe. And I will see you on the next one, where I'll break down expenses for your trip. Cheers.